in a Robert Jones versus a modified Robert Jones is the degree of padding. Now these are temporary bandages. These are cage bandages only, or transportation bandages. Say an animal comes in with a really mangled fracture of the leg, is going to need a plate, or the veterinarian has to come in and the orthopedic surgeon has to come and see it on Monday, and you're seeing it on Friday night. Then to prevent immobilization and put the animal in the cage for 2 or 3 days, you're going to use a Robert Jones or a modified Robert Jones. So these are not to send the animal home in. These are cage bandages only, and they're temporary, 3 days at the most, and they're very heavy, okay? So again, you want to make sure you're going to have a lot of bandage material. Make sure you have adequate stirrups going up the leg, okay? So we're going to go ahead and put our stirrups on. Now some fractures, a lot of fractures, what are you going to have with a fracture when you look at the leg? When you look at the leg, you got a bad fracture, what's the leg going to look like externally? Swollen, right? Very swollen. There may even be a hematoma there, right? Because you have pieces of bone that are now in the leg lacerating vessels. And the more you move that thing around, that's why you want to mobilize fractures. The more it moves around, the more it does damage, internal damage. It may even lacerate like the radial nerve. So we want to immobilize that thing. And we got to realize that this is swollen, and we're going to put pressure on it. We're going to put a bandage on it. What's going to happen to the swelling? When you have swelling and you apply pressure, what happens to the swelling? What is swelling? Tell me, what is edema? Well, I blew it right there. What is swelling?
Fluid goes into the...
It's edema, right? What is edema?
collection of fluid.
Where?
In between.
Yeah, in between the cellular spaces, right? And how does fluid in between the cellular spaces get back into the body?
Pressure.
Huh?
Pressure.
Yeah, but how? No, how does it get back into the bloodstream?
It crosses the... It's Starling forces, but yeah.
Yeah, but how does it get back, fluid, edema, get back into the bloodstream?
You have... Isn't it the concentration of... in the
Lymphatics. Okay? They carry it via the lymph system back up to the cranial-vena cava and it dumps into the heart, okay? But when you apply pressure, this forces the fluid into the lymphatic system. And then the leg's going to get smaller. So what's going to happen to your bandage when the legs get smaller?
Loose.
It's going to get loose. That's why you want to put this one in extremely tight as you can. Okay? That was my whole point. So it's going to take down the swelling. It's going to prevent further laceration of arteries and veins via the ends of the bone. It's going to prevent more nerve damage by immobilizing the limb. So your point is immobilization here. Now, I said the only difference between this and a simple bandage is the amount of padding. And the reason for that, if we were to use 20 rolls of this stuff at $1.50 or $2 a roll, what's our bandage going to cost?
A lot.
Yeah, 40, 50 bucks, right? And it's going to take forever. This is roll cotton, $3 for the whole roll. Okay, so now we can do this very quickly and very economically, right? Do we have sink stitch costs or not? Oh, perfect. So then you can, again, this is for immobilization. And you want to hold this out here for me? And then, so again, same rules apply. You want the toes to show, but we're going to put on a lot of layers. We're going to have a really thick bandage.
Now, when working with roll cotton, it's not the amount of, you don't count it in layers, you count it in pounds. Okay, one whole roll is a pound of cotton.
So this would be, about that much padding would be a modified Robert Jones. Okay? If we put the whole roll on here, that's going to be a Robert Jones. Now, we'll call him in practice Bobby Jones, too. A Bobby Jones bandage. Okay? But again, temporary bandage just for the clinic, cage bandage just for immobilization. all right? And this is what a common emergency procedure. You get the animal in, you know it has a badly mangled leg, can't do surgery on it that night. We're going to put a Robert Jones on it and wait for the surgeon to come in. No, that's not. Okay, and with this, you want your brown gauze as tight as you can get it. Okay, so I like to tuck it in under here and then just pull it around like this. Cover your end of your cotton, because again, if that's exposed, the animal's going to sit there and chew it out. So you need to spend a little extra time on the end of the bandage.
So he's kind of crisscrossing, he's not just.
See how I'm
going
figure
around.
eighting it?
Yeah.
Now, because there's so much padding, you do not risk creating a constricting band at all. So you really crank down on your brown gauze here. This is the shaping and forming layer.
So when would you use the modified and when would you use the Jones?
A modified is often used as like a post-op orthopedic bandage just to help reduce post-op swelling.
And you would usually use a Robert Jones if it's before the surgery.
Right.
Okay, or maybe you have a stifle injury that's not really a fracture. You might use a modified. But if you're going to have a real fracture, then you probably need to use a Robert Jones. And this one you want, you know, the old saying is should be able to bounce a quarter off of it. I used to say in lab, should be like J-Lo's butt, you know.
Look how prepared I am.
See, and I always say if you thump it, it should sound like a nice ripe watermelon.
Not there yet.
Not there yet. Yeah.
Actually making me work hard today.
Oh, I know.
What if there was a laceration along with the
Well, then you would go through your same iteration with your Telfa pad and conform gauze and everything that we did with a simple bandage. Okay? So this is a Robert Jones. Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I could do is demonstrate the cast while they're putting it on. Hmm?
We
No?
demo the cast.
Hmm?
We'll just demo the cast
When?
right now after this.
Well, that's what I-
Demo this and demo the cast.
Oh, you think so? You don't want them to do this?
That's a lot of material.
And then we can maybe work, do one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do this while I'm demoing the cast. You think? Oh.
We get it.
Yeah. You have to write down everything you said, I can't do the cast,
Yeah.
write down everything you said.
Yeah.
You notice how I'm putting all that tension on this bandage? I don't, like as Sherry said, I don't have to worry about a constricting band on this. And usually, our outside layer, because it's an in-clinic bandage,
4-inch cast, or 4-inch vet wrap.
that's okay. Very nicely done now. I got it. Again, you can't go around like this because you're going to end up with that. So we want to go ahead, and I probably really didn't even make my stirrups quite long enough for this one because you want them to go up the leg a little bit, but I think they'll
But
be.
again, this is not for the animal to walk on at all. This is in the cage before surgery or for transportation on the way to a facility for surgery, okay? The animal is not to walk on this, so that's why it needs to be as big and bulky as it is, because you need to make sure to immobilize that fracture as best you can, reduce the swelling in preparation for surgery.
Yeah, we just don't want the animal to do more damage to the limb after the fracture, okay? Which is what this prevents. Moving around in the cage. All right, so there's our stirrups. And again, to make this so that you don't have loose ends, you can't just wrap it around like that. You're going to get loose ends. You have to figure eight it. You see, you go like this, and then you go like that. And then you go like this. And again, little teeny hole, that's all I care about.
And then you start up the leg.
And again, as much pressure. We probably won't use as much vet wrap because we don't care about seeing through it because this animal's in the clinic. And we're going to watch them, you know? And again, notice how I'm using my other hand to straighten out the gauzes, the vet wrap as it goes around so that there's no wrinkles in it. I see wrinkles on that side, and I'll straighten it out. And you probably should put one more layer there at the top, but that's what it should look like. Okay? And again, don't be afraid, like if you go, yeah, that's sticking out a little bit. I'll show you a little trick that I use sometimes. Is I'll go like this on either side of my toe hole. And then I'll go out like that. So don't be afraid to modify the bandage to make it functional. Okay? That's a Robert Jones. All right? Should I demo the cast then? Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you guys need practice doing this? You
No,
got the idea?
that was pretty cut and dry.
It's pretty much the same as a simple bandage. It's just the amount of padding. Okay, yeah, I think we need to see a cast. So,
Okay.
give me a